Hey, 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 hey. Figured I'd watch a couple of these videos I made that kind of blew up, but I also wanted to go through some explaining on how I edited them and made them. And then if you guys have any questions, Q&A, just let me know. If not, we'll just let it roll. So this was the Rolling Giant, and I broke it down kind of in a sense that it's just a Rolling Giant explained video, so you'll see.
The Oldest View Part 3 starts with a shot of a forest, the camera slowly moving backward. You hear the sounds of nature, along with what seems like a crowd of people yelling. The video abruptly switches to a YouTube-style buffering screen and then loads to Wyatt making a follow-up video to his first video. He discusses what happened in that video and mentions it has been a couple of days since his previous upload. He also states that he hadn't been down the staircase since his last video, but he had visited the site of the hole a couple of times. He took advice from one of the viewers who recommended using trail cameras. He acquired 2 trail cameras from his old botany teacher and placed them around the hole, hiding one inside and one outside. The trail cameras captured nothing of significance around the hole, just a deer and grass moving in the wind. Wyatt continues to talk about how in his last video, he ended it because he was getting paranoid about possibly triggering a silent alarm and the possibility of people being around. So, he left and headed back up the staircase. He plans to return to the hole to investigate after his classes. We can determine the date of this video from the trail cam footage Wyatt shows, which displays the date as May 22nd, 2023. Suggesting this video takes place shortly after that date. He begins his walk toward the hole, showing how he set up sticks around the hole after removing the trail cameras yesterday to ensure that no one entered while he was away. None of the sticks around the hole were moved, so he enters the hole and descends the staircase. He talks about how he researched the owners of the land and found out that a mining company owns some land nearby. But most of the land is owned by locals. He believes it wasn't anyone particularly special, just locals. He also mentions that he looked around after the last video and found no signs of people or tire tracks leading to the hole. As he reaches the bottom of the staircase, he mentions the smell of cut grass, describing it as a cornfield-like smell. He opens the wooden door and proceeds into the empty outlet, which is still dark.
I thought that was awesome.
This time, there's no music playing. He heads to the roller gate to open it. When Wyatt opens the door, it slams open, creating a loud noise. He quickly retreats to the staircase, and after about 15 to 20 seconds, he goes back in to explore around the mall. At the center of the mall is an AMC with other shops all around. He finds a sign referring to the mall as Valley View Center, Dallas Midtown. Deeper into the mall, he notices that many of the shops inside are art studios. As he explores, he encounters a giant puppet with an unsettling face, featuring flowers and leaves for its giant hands. It appears to be on a rolling cart of some sort. As he approaches the giant, the center of the mall suddenly comes to life.
Here's the shot I was talking about.
With the lights slowly turning on and the music starting. He starts to sneak his way back to the staircase, trying to avoid being seen by any possible people in the mall. As soon as he enters the empty outlet from where he came, he heads back to the wooden door. To his dismay, the staircase has collapsed and is filled with rubble. He attempts to move the rubble, but fails. After a moment, he realizes he has to head back into the mall to find another way to exit. As he re-enters the mall, he sees a glowing red exit sign above and starts to follow it to a possible exit. Along the way, he notices more art and display cases, and in front of one of the portraits are leaves left on the ground.
A different giant.
He makes his way to the end of the illuminated exits, only to find that the mall is completely sealed underground. He heads back to the center of the mall, looking for another exit. As he reaches the center, he hears thunder above him, and some of the mall lights go out, while others flicker. The music has completely stopped, and on the other side of the mall, he sees the same giant, which has moved from its original location. He starts to move closer, going past an escalator. But when he passes the escalator, the giant is gone. This leaves him slightly confused, but he brushes it off. He looks for a directory board, hoping to find another exit on the map. After looking at the map, he starts to go down a different part of the mall, believing there's another exit that way. However, he only finds a kids section with a mini playground. He finds a roller fence gate leading into an art studio called Midtown Artist Studios. When he looks inside, all he can see is a dark forest, and he even hears bird sounds. Before investigating further, he hears a squeaking and squealing sound and walks back to the mall center. On his way back, Wyatt hears squeaky wheels behind him. He looks back and sees the giant right behind him, which startles him. He walks closer to it and says hello, thinking there was probably someone moving it around. After realizing there isn't any person, he starts walking back while keeping his eyes on it. After a while, he turns around to continue walking. He hears the rolling sound again and spins around to see that the giant has moved closer to him. He tells the giant that he is leaving and continues to walk backward while keeping an eye on it. This is when he fully realizes that there are no people involved with this. Suddenly, he hears thunder, and some lights go out, making him turn his back to it again. The statue then rolls toward him again. He spins around quickly to keep his eyes on it and keeps walking backward. He gets distracted by the thunder again, and the figure rolls toward him once more. This time when Wyatt looks back, the giant continues to move toward him. Wyatt begins to run to the escalator. As he reaches the escalator, he proceeds to get halfway up before turning around to look at the giant. The giant does not go up the escalator and starts to roll away. Thunder can be heard again.
How does the
Wyatt
giant
starts to plan an
get
escape
upstairs?
and quickly runs down the escalator in
That's
an
what I
attempt to
wanna
go out another exit.
One of the questions.
While running, the giant begins to chase him. The exit that Wyatt was trying to get out is also blocked, and now he can no longer go back the way he came due to the giant coming from that direction. So, he slams his body against the nearby wood panel leading into a nearby shop. He gets inside before the giant can get to him. Inside, the shop is empty, and the room appears to be under construction. He runs deep into the back of the shop, which leads to the maintenance hallways. He hears the windows at the front of the shop getting smashed and runs down the hallways. He reaches the end of the hallway and goes through a door leading into another empty shop on a different side of the mall. He slowly approaches the front of the shop, where there is a roller gate door, the same as the one he first opened. After slowly opening it, he closes it behind him to prevent making any noise. He then goes down another mini hallway through a glass door leading to an office. Once inside, Wyatt looks around the room for anything to help him escape. There are documents scattered around on the tables for the mall. One document features a diagram of different streets associated with various tree types. He finds a document that tells him that if all primary exit roads become inaccessible, he should refer to document 18,371,905. He finds the document, a map of the mall with the emergency exit route, in case all others are inaccessible. The map shows an exit at AMC level. He starts making his way back to the main floor of the mall, only to find trees and grass all over the place.
It's completely different now.
There's flora all over the floors, and some of the lighting has changed to a more bluish color. The music has returned but sounds less cheerful. The sound of thunder has returned as well. Wyatt sneaks his way to the center of the mall. He starts to approach the escalator when suddenly, the giant comes around the corner. Wyatt quickly runs to the second escalator on the other side and makes his way up. He sees a sign leading to the emergency roof exit going up some more stairs. He sees he would have to balance on the edge of the walls at the highest point of the mall. Before he proceeds, he sees the giant come up the escalator. He then asks it,
What do you want from me? What do you want?
See the dead horses? White flashes?
Oh,
Wyatt understandably freaks out from this. As the giant rams its body toward Wyatt, he dodges it. The giant slams into the wall, causing the nearby walls to crack. Wyatt makes his way toward the emergency rooftop exit. Trying not to fall, he slowly makes his way to the exit. Wyatt turns to see the giant moving on the opposite side, rolling around.
So creepy.
As he goes further, the giant is nowhere to be seen. Just as he gets to the
Well,
door,
the giant's right
he
there.
glimpses what
The
appears
giant's
to be
right
the
there.
same staircase we saw at the beginning. However, as he puts his weight onto the metal
this
support
is where
beam,
now
it
the second
breaks,
part of the oldest view
and he
comes
falls
in.
to the bottom of the mall,
But it's
screaming
not,
for his life.
he didn't fall. Or did
The
he fall?
screen cuts to black, and the next thing we see is Wyatt's body. He is dead. It appears that Wyatt had somehow fallen into the same place as shown in the oldest view part 1, where everything is grayscale,
Yep, grayscale.
excluding the color green.
Yep.
The frame changes, and we see the giant's face watching in the distance behind some trees, while thunder is heard again in the background. The video fades to black and ends. Additionally, there are some interesting facts related to this video. Revisiting the unknown, Wyatt's decision to return to the mall demonstrates a classic human trait, curiosity, combined with the drive to understand the inexplicable. This mirrors countless explorers or researchers in history and literature who, despite the risks, are drawn to uncover the mysteries of the unknown. The Rolling Giant, the antagonist of this video, is actually a real-life art piece. Created by Kevin Obregon, The Rolling Giant was made for an art festival honoring important figures in Dallas history.
So many times I get
It
asked about
represents a
this
French
music right
botanist by the
here.
name of Julien Reverchon, who lived in Dallas, hence the flower hands. The Valley View Mall. The mall that Wyatt finds himself trapped in was actually a real place. It was called the Valley View Center, located in Dallas, Texas. The Rolling Giant was stored in this mall until it was demolished in May 2023.
It's an abandoned AMC theaters.
Such a sad ending. That's the mall being destroyed. I have another video I did where it's inside the mall. Let me pull that one up after this though. It's video before the mall was actually demolished. There he is right there. On his back. Yeah, to the rest in peace. Let me see if I can pop up
Wendy's fries are always hot and
the
crispy.
video.
So Toby says every day is now
Friday.
Stop talking.
Tuesday.
Friday.
Wednesday.
Friday.
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 A crowd of people yelling.
Let's go back into my channel.
Revisiting the unknown, Wyatt's decision to return to the mall demonstrates a classic human trait, curiosity. Who, this giant, created history, our hands, and the giant was stored.
Here it is. Where he's stored in the mall, which is really interesting.
No. Just check it out. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jeff, your host of Dead Malls by Jeff and Company, and I am behind the scenes here at Valley View Mall.
So if you look, you can see him over in that corner on the right, which is totally crazy.
Asked a guy with the
Nobody even mentions this in the video.
asbestos removal team here, and he gave me a short little tour of the Dillards. This is the guy right here. Say hi.
Which I thought was just crazy. Now let's do. Oh, I wanted to show you guys the video I made. What was the Nightwalker? I'm not sure.
Hi everyone. In this series, I'm going to tell you a bunch of creepy stories that happened to me.
The Nightwalker? No. We don't want to go with that one. That was a good one, but we'll save that one for later. This one gets a lot of questions. It's the missing people that. So these are a bunch. I made this video, and it's basically just a. It's a bunch of missing people in the woods. So these are all real stories, all real cases, and these are all real photos of people that are missing. And I thought this video would blow up, but it just didn't. But I'm not mad about it. I think it's awesome.
It's exactly 17 years since the Tampa woman disappeared from Orlando and has not been seen since.
10 Tampa Bay's Chris Rogers explains why her family has new hope that she will finally be found.
It's a mystery close to 2 decades in the making.
I think of her all the time.
On January 24th, 2006, 24-year-old Jennifer Kessie disappeared in Orlando, seemingly without a trace.
Every single second of every single day, to us, is frantic because we need to find her.
Kessie was reported missing when she didn't show up for work. 2 days later, her black Chevy Malibu was discovered outside of a different condo building.
They never actually found Kessie.
It was like being hit with a ton of bricks.
Jennifer's never been
video
found.
showed somebody parking Kessie's car
No,
there.
they never found her. That's the guy that walks by, that creepy guy that goes by. They never found her.
We cannot see
It's the
that
guy in the
person's
painter's
face. Ever.
That's the last
Anything
photo
that we have.
they have of a person nearby. Or video, I guess you would say.
Our other big story tonight, a mystery solved in Lancaster County. A woman missing for more than a decade is found alive. Brenda Heist vanished in 2002 after dropping her children off at school. She was even later declared dead. But late last week, she showed up at a police station more than 1,200 miles away from the Susquehanna Valley in Key Largo, Florida. We have live team coverage of the investigation and reaction from her family. My co-anchor Kim Lennon begins our coverage. Kim.
Boy, Ryan, I'll tell you, this sounds like something out of a book or a movie. It's really unbelievable. Brenda Heist just disappeared more than 10 years ago. She left behind 2 children, but her actions and her recklessness really left a lifelong impact not only on her children, but on law enforcement, and especially on her husband, who of course was forced to build a new life.
Okay, we're deep in the woods.
sort of, we're like on the border. It's like there's a side of the woods where there's people's houses. But I came to a trail, electric trail, up the hill.
Put the knife
but I
away,
saw
boy.
what looked like a fire pit. And remember, we're still in the woods. We're still in the woods, right? I don't know what this is. You see it in the trees. What? Okay. I was like, okay, these are probably no trespassing signs, or maybe it's something for the wildlife or something. Look what these are.
Who's not kind, guys? All these are actual missing people.
This is Utah, Florida. They're all different.
I thought this was the weirdest thing.
Bar sits in the
Who
driveway.
would do that?
Her dog
See, when
wags
I
its
broke
tail
the
from the
story down
backyard.
was
Even the light in
I
her
took the news
jack-o'-lantern
article
still
and
shines.
I added
It seems as if
the
30-year-old
photos
Tara
and
Grinstead will
everything
be
to it.
home any minute.
To break
That's
it down.
exactly what friends, family, and students hope will happen. Several days since her disappearance, they're making ribbons to wear and flyers to hand out. Anything to make people aware.
I'm having her next semester, so we gotta find her so we can get her.
Dana Wilder goes to school at Irwin County High, where Tara teaches. Tara did her hair for a pageant Saturday morning. The news of Tara's disappearance is tough to take.
My mom sat me down and I started crying because I was with her Saturday, and it's so weird because I walked her out to her car and then I haven't seen her since.
Tara's principal, Bobby Connor, made the call to get police involved Monday morning.
They told me that she was not in and she had not called in, which is very unusual, and that sort of raised the red flag that something was amiss.
Connor says Tara is a great teacher on the fast track to being a principal herself.
This one's from Georgia. Look where we are. Who does something like this? This one.
Some of these stories, I think it was this guy or the other one coming up. It was the guys, really. I couldn't find any information on for news articles to show in this video. I could only find information on the girls. I don't think I found anything on this guy. I found like they didn't know he's missing, and that's it. They never found him or nothing. That's why I skipped that part, didn't add a news clip. Well, I edited this together. Some of these I could find news clips for, and some of them I couldn't. So the ones I couldn't, all the faces out there that I couldn't find, I put them up, but nothing I could do.
That's a shovel.
Yep. The blanket, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. A can of tuna. Or, yeah, tuna, I guess. I don't know what you call it. This is the other guy I couldn't find, yeah. I have a very little bit on Jonathan I could find, and it was a Facebook post right here. And the Facebook posts go back to 2010. Couldn't find anything else. There's no update after that. See updates on Jonathan. Had there been any updates on Jonathan? There's nothing. I couldn't find anything on him. I searched and searched and searched, and nothing. Nothing. Just still missing. Nobody's found him.
Yeah, I'm not. First of all, I am not violating any of these no trespassing signs. I'm simply not. I came here only to show you.
So most of the people that I did on this video that I did, I couldn't find anything on them, so that's why this video was edited like
Down there, that's the clearing.
in the way that I did
So,
it.
hey, what they've done, they've printed out their own no trespassing signs. Homemade.
Which each one of the no trespassing signs are photos of the victims. Or victims that are missing.
Many chances. You can see they attach them to the trees with ordinary masking tape. These aren't even laminated. Posted, private property, no trespassing. Violators will be caught.
Couldn't find it. Yeah, a lot of those people, I just couldn't find anything on them, which is completely ridiculous in a sense that when the girls go missing, there's a million posts, but when a guy goes missing, there's literally nothing. there for you to find anything on. You kind of sit there like, yeah, you know, you just. I made this one. Now, this is the radioactive Boy Scout. We used to call him the Liquid Boy Scout because of for other reasons when we were kids. But I actually grew up with this guy, and I grew up with him in the early 90s. I was obviously young at the time. He was probably in his mid-teens. I was in my 8, 9, 7-year-old range. But he was actually a nice guy. Wasn't a undecent human being. He just ended up being a very nasty person towards the end of his life. He went through he went through a lot of depression, and I'm not sure after that. He went to the military, but he got rejected because of I think the thoughts in his head, because he was suffering from demons. And then he got addicted to methamphetamines, and he ended up just kind of like falling apart and trying to kill as many people as he could. And before he was trying to kill as many people as he could, he actually was a very intelligent young man he got really interested in science and tried to build actual nuclear, like a little nuclear. He wanted to start this little nuclear, I can't even remember how he worded it. It wasn't, he knew that he could do it from his books because he learned how to understand the science behind it. But what he wanted to build, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, because it was it was kind of small that he wanted, what he wanted to build. And it was this nuclear little battlefield of I guess, he didn't want to build like a bomb or anything, and he didn't want to make radiation to hurt anyone back in the day when he was younger. But when we were kids, this guy was kind of fucked up. And you'll see why. You'll see why in the story. I made this documentary probably a couple months ago about him, on his anniversary of his death.
I have a few of my older scout uniforms.
It's David Hahn is his name.
I love being in the scouts. It was great. Exploring in the woods, campfires, wilderness survival. I think it was good scout.
David Hahn's journey into the realm of nuclear experimentation began innocently enough, nurtured by a childhood fascination with science and chemistry. From a young age, he exhibited an insatiable curiosity, spending hours immersed in books and conducting rudimentary experiments in his parents' basement. His precocious intellect and relentless pursuit of knowledge set him apart from his peers, earning him accolades and recognition within academic circles.
Michigan. This is my Ameripatch stash right here, and my three favorites here were atomic energy, chemistry, and general science. I was interested in nuclear energy before I even came in the Scouts. And they explained to me that they had this neat little liquid badge with the atom and an electron circling around it.
As he entered adolescence, Hahn's thirst for scientific discovery intensified, fueled by a voracious appetite for experimentation and a desire to push the boundaries of what was possible. His parents, initially supportive of his endeavors, provided him with the resources and encouragement to pursue his passions, unaware of the dangerous path their son was embarking upon.
That's Ken. Ken was his dad. He's a great guy. Met him many a times. He's a really cool guy. Really nice guy. Met him many times after his son's passed, too.
It was during this formative period that Hahn's obsession with nuclear physics took hold, sparked by a chance encounter with a book on atomic energy. Enthralled by the prospect of harnessing the power of the atom, he began to delve deeper into the intricacies of nuclear science, devouring textbooks and online resources in his quest for understanding. Unbeknownst to his family, Hahn began to amass a collection of radioactive materials, scavenging components from discarded household.
So Hahn used to go to old books, basically, I know these first couple adventures when I was friends with Hahn back in the early 90s. He used to, he basically would go garbage picking at night, and he would try to pick up microwaves, and microwaves had a very small amount of atomium in them, and he would take them apart and try to remove them. He would also do that with fire extinguishers, carbon monoxide detectors. That was kind of one of his ways that he got around getting it. And he found out that watches, certain watches had plutonium in them, and that's what the little filament inside the watch that makes it glow. He used to take that out, and then he got into reading the Anarchy Handbook, and he just started to figure out like all different ways that he could harvest this stuff. He could even get it off of rocks, which was crazy.
Hold items and
Down on the
clandestinely
pier,
acquiring
off of Lake
substances
Michigan.
from online suppliers.
Drinking in the clock? I could check. I believe so, but yeah, I could give you a visual on it.
It says a little radar monitor. That'll tell you how much is in each one of them. See, the clocks have a little bit, and he can harvest them off. He can scrape it off, which is what he would basically
Should it be
do.
illegal to have the clock? Should it be illegal to have the rain? Should life be illegal? The Constitution, I was in the land of the free. So if I'm not hurting anybody, why shouldn't I be free? A little while ago,
That's when he was mad because he was already going through his legal battles. As he literally was a child who was arrested, and he started to do it again as an adult. And then one of the things that I didn't cover in the story that I probably actually I'll talk about that in a second. Let's get through a little bit more.
I was driving on Crocker Road here.
It's when he really was starting to snap, and he tried to kill a bunch of people.
And I was searching for rocks or anything in buildings or anything in houses. Maybe somebody had something laying out in the garbage I could get. And I ended up coming up to an antique store up here. And the Geiger counter, the meter, the ticks were more frequent. And I noticed it spiked a little bit. And I noticed that there was something in there. I just had to find out where.
He had detected an old glow-in-the-dark clock. The dial was painted.
In his car, he installed a Geiger counter. He had 2 or 3 in his vehicle. And both of his Geiger counters used to aim off left and right of his vehicle, so he could literally listen as the point. He had like the prawns outside the car, and he would hear inside, and he ran it on battery power, obviously back in the day in the 90s, in the early 2000s. It was the mid 90s. And that's kind of how he ran his show. And he would drive around just listening for dirt, rocks. That's how we found out later on that he could find this stuff when we were kids. He could find this stuff in the rocks on the lakes of Michigan.
With radium, and this one came complete with a small vial of the radioactive paint.
He left me a little note saying that if I ever found any more of these clocks, that he'd be willing to pay me whatever I wanted, and then signed David. And Dave, I think he even dated it, but the funny part was I kept questioning, what did I sell? Was it real expensive and I didn't know it? What was so great?
His makeshift laboratory, hidden away in the confines of his parents' suburban home, became a sanctuary for his clandestine experiments, a haven where he could explore the mysteries of the universe away from prying eyes. As Hans' experiments grew increasingly ambitious, so too did the risks inherent in his pursuits. Undeterred by the potential dangers posed by his activities, he pressed forward with unwavering determination, driven by a singular vision of unlocking the secrets of nuclear fusion. Armed with little more than makeshift equipment and a boundless imagination, Hahn embarked on his most audacious project yet, the construction of a homemade nuclear reactor.
Enter the shed.
So right here, the location he's showing you is the exact location where his shed was back in the day. And exactly all of where he built his, basically an atomic bomb, in the sense that they're going to say it wasn't much, but it was significant.
It was about right here.
There's a reason.
Concrete cement blocks surrounding it. So it was already protected by concrete.
His Geiger counter was now picking up radiation all the way across the yard.
I knew if the ticks were increasing like that, the beeps coming out of the audio here were increasing, that some kind of rays were coming out of that shed and getting over to the front of this counter.
That's how I remember right there about that age.
Yeah, I got concerned at that time.
Concerned.
Drawing upon his knowledge of nuclear physics and chemistry, he meticulously assembled the components necessary to achieve his goal. Cobbling together a reactor core from a hodgepodge of materials procured from sources.
When the FBI came in, this building here, this concrete here, all of the land within it was a significant amount, was physically removed and had to be burnt. They had incinerators set up all down the street because they had to get rid of the radiation. both legitimate and illicit. Under the cover of darkness, Han toiled away in his basement laboratory, his mind consumed by thoughts of atomic energy and the promise of scientific glory. With each passing day, the reactor took shape, its ominous presence a testament to the boundless ambition of its creator and the perilous nature of his pursuits. But as Han's experiment neared completion, the walls of secrecy that had shielded him from prying eyes began to crumble. Rumors of his activities spread through the community like wildfire, fueled by whispers of strange lights emanating from his basement late at night and reports of mysterious packages arriving at his doorstep.
Mysterious and luminous and magical, and I did whatever I could to try to get my hands on. We used to call it a glow boy. For the group of people hanging around with Dave,
Yeah, he was called Glow Boy, which I never heard that phrase. I don't know what this guy's talking about, because I was friends too, and we never called him Glow Boy.
You know, the standard high school joke of, what the heck is this green thing? Yo, quick, bring the other kind of see.
It was not long before Han's clandestine activities caught the attention of local authorities, who launched an investigation into his activities. Suspicious of the young prodigy's intentions, they surveilled his movements and monitored his communications, seeking to unravel the truth behind his enigmatic experiments. But Han, ever resourceful, remained one step ahead of his pursuers, employing a web of deception and subterfuge to evade detection. Faced with mounting pressure and the looming threat of exposure, he doubled down on his efforts, redoubling his resolve to see his experiment through to its conclusion. Yet, even the most cunning of plans cannot withstand the relentless march of fate. In a twist of irony, it was not the prying eyes of law enforcement that ultimately brought Han's grand experiment crashing down, but rather a chance encounter with routine traffic stop that would forever alter the course of his destiny.
Doing what he had been talking about.
This is what can happen when a teenager...
As Han sat in the back of a police cruiser, his mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. The elaborate tapestry of lies he had woven to protect his secret had unraveled before his eyes, leaving him exposed and vulnerable to the harsh glare of reality. In the days and weeks that followed, Han's life descended into chaos, his once promising future tarnished by the specter of scandal and infamy. The fallout from his ill-fated experiment reverberated throughout the community.
I read this book probably a couple hundred times, backwards and forwards. I consider the book a little bit, it was really important to me. It was like a little sacred keepsake I could always come back to for a new experiment.
Liquid Boy Scouts, that was what we called them.
You can say, okay, they do the carbon dioxide one.
Not the radioactive Boy Scout. Casting a pall of uncertainty over the suburban landscape. But amid the wreckage of his shattered dreams, there remained a glimmer of hope, a chance for redemption, for reconciliation, for a second chance at life. For David Han, the road ahead would be long and arduous, fraught with challenges and obstacles to overcome. Yet, in the crucible of adversity, he would discover the true measure of his strength and resilience, forging a new path forward from the ashes of his past.
David scoured all kinds of locations.
Here's where he's looking on the
On the
beach.
shores of the Great Lakes, he hoped to
This is in
stumble across
Michigan.
naturally occurring radioactive elements like uranium and radium. He was usually disappointed. Michigan was not that radioactive. But he did build up a collection of rocks from other sources.
I have some radioactive rocks here. I've got pitchblende, uranite, and I have a piece here. I'm not at liberty to say where it comes from, but this is a piece of radium ore. And same kind of ore that Marie Curie isolated radium from.
Is that a dangerous level of radiation?
Oh yeah. But not, well, yeah, it's quite dangerous, but these are like my antiques.
Are you sure it's not illegal to have those rocks?
It's not illegal to obtain the rocks, it's illegal to obtain the amount of radium that David had. In the days and weeks that followed, the revelation of Han's clandestine activities left those who knew him reeling with disbelief. For my brother, who had spent countless hours playing video games and working out alongside Han, the news came as a profound shock. We had never glimpsed this hidden aspect of his life, this dangerous obsession that had consumed him.
like this. We had no idea. A few atoms of plutonium, maybe a couple fissions here and there, but I don't think anything sustained any kind of reaction. See, I believe that it was the thought that counted.
As we grappled with the enormity of what had transpired, memories of our time together with Han took on a bittersweet hue.
The laughter and camaraderie we had shared seemed tinged with sadness now, overshadowed by the knowledge of the darkness lurking beneath the surface. Yet,
so here's that part of the story I'll tell you. So David, when he was just before the ending of his life, decided to go down a road very dark and very tragic. What David decided to do was to kill as many people as he could, and the people he wanted to kill in that moment, because his mind was so broken and so fragilely destroyed, and I believe he was probably hurt by the radiation. He was already had cancer. He was in his mid-20s. He already was falling apart at this point. David was already so broken at this point in his life that what he decided to do was to then take the fire extinguishers off of the ceiling inside of the apartment complex that he was living in, and he took the light bulbs out, and he replaced the filaments in the light bulbs with a little bit of a flash material, and then he filled them with a different gas by drilling a small pinhole in them. And then David took the same fire extinguishers off and deactivated them, but did the same filament charges with inside them. And what Dave was hoping to do before he died was to ignite the entire complex up in flames, and also with small detonations as the lights flicked on with the sensors. Because what he wanted to do was, as you walked by, those sensors would get, the light would flick on, and then it would blow up because of the gas and the fumes in it, and would cause almost... He wanted to almost do what they would do with the napalm, right? So when it hit you, it would glass blast and stick to your body. That was what David was trying to do back when I knew him in the early... This was around 1999 when he was living in the apartment complex. So this was a really... This right here, this part in his life that I cover in the video that I made is really tough because David was falling apart.
The confusion and...
Jesus Christ, just play.
Sorrow. There remained a flicker of compassion for the friend we had lost. Despite the mistakes he had made and the harm he had caused, we could not help but mourn the passing of the boy we had known, the friend who had once been a cherished part of our lives. In the end, as we bid farewell to David Hahn, we do so with a sense of sorrow and regret, but also with a glimmer of understanding and forgiveness. For beneath the layers of deception and misguided ambition, there lay a troubled soul in search of meaning and purpose. May he find the peace and redemption he so desperately sought in life.
Look at those eyes.
And may his memory be a reminder of the fragility of human existence and the importance of compassion and empathy in our journey through this.
That's his dad.
To get noticed, I think that's all it was. Just for attention. I mean, Grant, huh? You think it worked? You got the attention all right, you ain't gonna work.
I hope Dave found a good place in heaven or hell. I don't know where he's at, but hopefully let him practice nuclear. Alright guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Cap J, what streams is 17. Thanks for watching. I love you all. Now go to bed. It's late.